Good morning and welcome to Motivation Monday and Money Monday on the Daily Huddle. This show is for you, the entrepreneur, who's looking for and we're committed to giving it to you. The skill sets, the mindset, the resources you need to start your business on good footing, to run it effectively and efficiently, and to grow it. So this Monday is like no other. And I've got a question for you, Lela. Lela, if you go off mute, would you tell me what did the football coach say to the broken vending machine?
Lord, that's a good question. I need you to work, perform.
You know what he said? He says, "Give me my quarterback." Welcome back, wherever you are, running your business, growing it, starting it, wherever you are on the face of this planet. I welcome you to the Daily Huddle. And today's question, in the context of equipping you with the skill sets and the mindsets to make more money, is how to make money without sacrificing the joy of living, even if you think you have to. And we've got with us today a phenomenal guest who I'll introduce to you in a moment. Before we do that, let's prime ourselves with a few questions. Lela, I'm abusing you this morning. What time is it and what are you grateful for, Lela?
The time is now, and I'm grateful for learning how to come out of my comfort zone.
And thank you for stretching that way, Lela. The time is now, and you are grateful for coming out of your comfort zone. And Cece, you are here. Can you speak? Where are you, and who will you hug today?
Oh, good morning. I'm right here, right now, and I'm going to hug someone who needs a hug, some stranger. I ask before I do it.
Spread the love. Give it all up. Good morning, Rashida. I know you want to stay on mute, but make a little noise with us and tell us, how are you?
I am blessed, not stressed, highly favored and loved by my Creator.
And by golly, if you say so, that's just the way you are, isn't it? Welcome, everyone. Right. Thank you for playing. I now want to introduce you to Jordan Ilderton. And, who says, as I was growing up, my favorite game to play was to start businesses, run their books, compute their revenues, compute their expenses, and find out how much profit they make. Well, our guest today did just that. Her favorite game was to start businesses, keeping their books on revenues and expenses. And that's how she started her business. And out of the love for supporting businesses to do the same thing, now these past 7 years, Jordan Ilderton has built a multiple six-figure business with 1 to 3 kids at home, working during nap times, working at night, and she taught herself all of that. And she's grateful for the journey. And she's here today to share with us what she knows is true. When we go all in on ourselves, we will never let ourselves down. This serves us and the people we serve. When we use our heads and our hearts, we can serve the heck out of our clients and change their lives. Now, this is who's here with us. Her name is Jordan Ilderton. Jordan, welcome to the Daily Huddle, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sorrel. Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. I appreciate it.
Well, given that somebody you really trust wrote it for you, you're in good shape, right?
They did a good job. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to being successful in business, most people, well, I'd say, including myself, the majority of entrepreneurs fear that being in business and being successful is only for the special few. And you've done it. Tell us a little bit about you. Jordan Ilderton, the mother, the human being who manages all of this. So who are you, Jordan?
Thank you. I am just someone who's so grateful to be supporting clients. And that's where the business started and grew. Obviously, like, my background is in accounting and I love the numbers, and growing up, that was like what I loved to do. I had my little notebooks and my brain has just always thought that way. And so when I realized, when I had my first child, that, a friend gave me the idea, like, we're always looking for bookkeepers. My background, I was a CPA and didn't want to go back to public accounting, and said, we're always looking for bookkeepers. So that's what I did. And I was so good at it. And, I'm so proud of the support that we give businesses on that end, because so many people have a hard time finding a good bookkeeper. And so it just started from really being like, yes, I got you. Like, you don't have to worry about this anymore. And then from there, it just grew to even more of, wow, there's a lot of other stuff coming up that I can really support people with. And so it's just like a really just foundational wanting to support and put, goodness into the world in a way that serves other people, and just to, talk to people and see how anxious they are and talking about money. And then after our work together, they're just a totally different person. And so
as you're speaking about that, people might think that, oh my God, I can't do that, because Jordan has 100% of her time devoted to just running and building this business. I mean, is that all you do?
No, yeah, I've got 3 kids. I started my business while I was on maternity leave. So my daughter was 2 weeks old. I took her into Best Buy to get my laptop. And then since then had 2 more children. And, I didn't want to send them to daycare for a long time. That's why I started my business, so I could be with them. So it was the nap times. It was the night times. I would get up sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning and do work, because that's when I could have quiet time. And I just loved what I did. So I didn't mind getting up and doing that. But yeah, it's just a matter of, I am special, but I'm not, because this is something that everyone can adopt. And, when you have passion, and obviously you get clear, I'm always talking about strategy, organize, implement, and mindset. And so having a plan and being really strategic and setting, like, this is when I'm going to work, I'm getting consistent. That's what creates the results. So it's not that I'm special. I just kept doing the same thing over and over and over. Yeah. And that is hard.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. Right here on Money and Motivation Mondays, it's all about discovering new ways to make money and discovering that we're capable of making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And in your speaking, Jordan, you say that a business that brings you next level revenue and drool-worthy take-home profit is the result of doing what works. And for you and for the humans you serve. I'd love to hear a little more about that philosophy. How do you bring that to your business? How do you make more money? And what can you say to our entrepreneurs today to create what they need so they make more money?
I'm very left brain and metrics and everything, but I'm also very mindset focused and journaling, and love listening to the universe and God and getting signs. And I thought this was really interesting today. I draw an angel card every day, and today it was authenticity. And that is kind of the cornerstone of this conversation, is the next level profit and, drool-worthy take-home pay is being authentic, being yourself, doing what you love. I love the online space, and it's a great place to make money, but there's so much out there to tell us what we're missing or what we need to do and what we need to do is do what we love and do what works. So there's always going to be someone telling you, oh, you need to go build your email list, or you need to go show up on Reels, or this or this or this. And instead of focusing on the problem and what we should be doing, we need to focus on who are we, how do we best serve people. If it's showing up on Reels, great. But if it's connecting with people that you know personally, like, hey, I started a business, and sending 1 to 3 messages a week telling people about your business, like maybe that's what works better for you. So figuring out your authentic self and how you can show up consistently, and then pouring gasoline on that, because we can spin our wheels all day trying to fix everything that's wrong. But when we really focus on what's working and what we're doing right, that's really what's going to grow.
Jordan, I think it's really easy for entrepreneurs just starting to fall into the mindset of, I'm just starting. I don't know what I'm doing. How did you discover what works for you? And where did you get tripped up being stuck in what doesn't work? And then you made the shift.
That's a great question. Mindset is a huge piece, and I consider that to be my full-time job. And then my job is kind of my, not side business, but mindset is so important. And as a left brain person, it's, not hard. It was hard for me to talk about this a lot publicly, because I didn't think, are people going to think I'm legit if I'm a numbers person, but I'm talking about mindset. But really, it's feeling worthy. And that's kind of where I learned my biggest lessons, was charging what I'm worth charging, setting boundaries of getting paid, and really those are most of the lessons I've learned through growing, is when I didn't trust myself and when I didn't stand up for, what I'm worth and, how to be paid. Those were where the biggest lessons came from. Was, I really wasn't feeling worth it then. And so I didn't ask for what I should have been asking. So does that kind of answer, that's kind of.
It does, right? Something as simple, well, I say simple, it's probably simple yet difficult to do.
Because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah, exactly, right? Something as simple as discovering, oh my God, I'm not worthy. And therefore, in coming from that space, I'm not asking my clients to pay me what I'm worth and what my services are worth. Now, you don't have to tell us numbers, but order of magnitude. There was the space where you weren't worthy in what you were charging, and there's the space after you've discovered, oh my God, I got to stop doing this. What's the difference in order of magnitudes between what you used to charge and what you're charging now?
It's just feeling very peaceful. Whereas before it was like, I don't know, am I going to lowball it, or are they going to want to pay this? And now it's just being confident in myself and what I know I'm capable of and what I'm helping people with, and, helping them create those boundaries too. Because when we start business, we're all kind of like, I don't know, is someone going to pay me for this, or am I worthy of it? Or we're looking online to see what other people charge and what I should charge. But we just, it's that saying of, you can't, compare your beginning to someone's end. So you can see people online that have been in business for longer, or have all this testimonials and history. And we really have to see what feels good to us and what feels like the right thing. And then we know, like, okay, I just started out, maybe I am charging lower so I can get work, and then getting to a place where we're empowered and we're like, okay, actually now it's going to be this, and making sure that we're constantly not worrying about what everyone else is doing and focus on our own race, our own journey. It just feels so much better.
So you're not the typical bookkeeper.
No.
You're not the person that just sits in the background and tracks the money and reports on the numbers.
Right.
You're different, and you help your clients make money. How do you go about helping your clients make money as a bookkeeper? And what can you say to those listening right now? Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 things. This is how you go about making more money.
Yes, I started a framework where it's mindset, strategy, organize, implement. And those are kind of the 4 important things to me. And I think of it like a pie chart. So at any point in your business, pieces of the pie chart are going to be different sizes. So when you're starting your business, it might be more of the organizing and the implementing piece, and then picking a strategy. And then kind of once we pick it and stick it, it's really that mindset to stay in it, because there's always gonna, not always, but there's usually a gap. Business doesn't look like action results. It usually looks like action, 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 action results. So staying in it and being in the mindset to know that it's working, to know that it's all happening for me. And what I'm doing is working and getting me one step closer every day. That's really where the power is. And so using that framework is really helping business owners to know what the problem is that we need to solve now, and then doing that and then moving on to the next thing. So it's not just like, oh, well, maybe I'll go try this, or maybe I'll go try this, or look at that. It's really determining that strategy that works for us, that, feels good, works for our people, and then sticking in it. And so that, mindset, strategy, organize, implement, the pieces are always going to be changing, but it's really kind of what do we need to focus on now? So that's where I usually see the most growth, is working with people and selling. I love talking to people about selling, because most of us are not selling enough. And, as a bookkeeper, I did that too. I'd be like, oh, well, if they need my services, they'll come to me, or they need me or they don't. And, it was really about like stepping into my, being empowered, and, showing people like, actually, you really need this in your business. Like, this is so going to support you, because then you can take on, more clients and more revenue when you have that foundation laid. And so in any business, no matter if it's, something that's very practical or something that feels luxurious, like, we have to sell, because otherwise our people won't know about it. And they might go to the person down the street that doesn't do it as well as we do, but they have a louder voice than we do. And so they're the one that got the business, but we might be able to support them so much better. We need to say it.
A good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, once said, you can be great, but you have to be known to be great. So you preach that you have to sell your services. Now you're saying mindset, strategy, organize, implement. When it comes to your business, given the stage you're in right now, you say it's kind of like a pie chart, and mindset, strategy, organize, implement might be needed in different doses, given where you are in your business. Give us a glimpse of where you are right now and which aspects of those 4 pillars you're focusing on most, and why.
Definitely mindset. I've picked a strategy, I'm sticking with it, and we've got a good system down. So we send out a newsletter every week, and I do a live stream in my Facebook group every week. And then we send the replay out for that. I show up on social media consistently, and we have that kind of scheduled out. So that is my strategy that gets me in front of people. I sell a certain number of times a week. I offer a certain number of free calls every week. That took, kind of building that piece. And it was at least, I got a social media manager back in the spring. So I write all the content and she takes it and puts it places. So we organized all that, got that, she takes my content, she puts it in the email, like I'm writing it, but she just puts it everywhere, because that's just outside of my wheelhouse. And so that was like a big, organizing strategic piece. And then now that that's like, okay, we've done it, we're testing and tweaking along the way, like what's working, what gets a good response, and kind of looking at those pieces of it. But right now, mindset is my biggest thing, because I'm almost, excuse me, I'm almost full, but, so I have to stay in that piece of knowing that what I'm doing is working, everything is happening. We booked 3 clients in October, like it was wild. And so we have a really good strategy for onboarding them. And that's pretty easy, pretty simple. I've been doing it for years. We have a checklist. We have platforms in place that keep track of who's doing what. So it's that part is like kind of on lockdown. And now it's just my job to like stay and be consistent, because that is the hardest piece. We're always like, what am I missing? What am I, what's out there that I'm not doing? And we have it in us. It's just a matter of knowing that we're worthy and staying with the process. So mindset is, my biggest piece.
Mindset is key for you now. And so mindset, strategy, organize, implement. It really points to the necessity for business owners and entrepreneurs to find a strategy, stick to it, organize the actions to implement the strategy.
Mhm.
And once you've got that working, all along the way, there's the mindset piece at play. And right now you're focusing on that. So tell me this, when we started this conversation, Jordan, you originally created the question, what brings you joy? And I want to know from you before we open it up to the audience, what brings you joy and how do you sustain what brings you joy?
Can I read a quote? And this was actually my prayer book I do every day. And I just thought this was so, it went with my angel card this morning. I thought this was a just beautiful representation. And it's St. Catherine of Siena. If you are what you should be, you will set the world ablaze. It makes me teary-eyed. It's just so powerful when we show up as ourselves. And I see this with business owners all the time. Like, they have a gift that they want to share, and they're so good at that gift, or they're great at photography, or they're a painter, or whatever that looks like, but they don't treat it like a business. And that is a huge disconnect. They're so creative, or whatever that looks like for them, but they forget that, like, this needs to be a revenue generator and it needs to be treated like a business. And so I love melding those pieces together about, being who we are and creating that, intentional and sustainable growth. And so that is what brings me joy when I work with people who feel so overwhelmed, or like literally have no strategy. They're just like, oh, I need to make some money. Let me put something on sale. And it's just, you got to have these long-term and short-term goals, and working with them to create that and provide for their families. A rising tide raises all boats. So that is how I view what I do with our community and building it. So sorry, I didn't mean to get teary-eyed on you today, but that.
Oh no, this is perfect. That's the environment we are. And just before we open it up, Giovanni has a question. Would you once again just read that quote for us?
Yeah, it was I've had it flagged in here. I've read this book for years. It's my daily mom prayer book, and it just happened to be that this is the one for today, and I just thought that was amazing. St. Catherine of Siena. If you are what you should be, you will set the world ablaze.
Indeed. Giovanni, good morning, my friend. You have the floor.
Good morning. That was so great, Jordan. You are you in some way you are a light in this conversation. I get to discover you as light, and a light with businesses, and that's an interesting, very interesting experience. That you are an experience, and so you're an interesting experience in the world of business. I wanted to ask you, Jordan. As you guys were unfolding the conversation, I couldn't help but to be in kind of in this wonder about how did you bring, or how do you manage being organized? It seems that there are a lot of worlds that you handle on an everyday basis, and businesses require a particular organization so that one can keep momentum. How do you see organization? How does being organized occur to you so that you can have all those worlds moving forward in a very small amount of time before your children show up, et cetera, et cetera?
Thank you, Giovanni. That's so great that you're here, and I really appreciate the feedback and love the question. Organization is something that obviously has always appealed to me, and I did it from the bookkeeping standpoint for a long time. And now working with clients, and what it looks like in my business might be different from what my client's business looks like, but it's basically figuring out what needs to be organized. Talking about bookkeeping and platforms, talking about point of sale systems, and maybe tracking inventory or whatever you're selling, even if it's just a service online, having those packages and pricing, and having that piece organized so that it's easy for your customers and clients to find you and to buy from you and know what you're selling, having that piece. Then we also have the showing up. You got to show up in front of your audience, in front of other audiences, and really getting a plan for that. And, whatever the consistency is, making it consistent. So even if it's 3 days a week, it's still these 3 days we show up, we do this. So if 5 days a week, I love having that conversation with my clients, and we get really secure and, get that foundation. So
But how do you manage time? Because I do get what you're saying. Okay, you got to show up in here, you got to show up in here, and then in some way I'm left with, you got to figure that out. But I know I don't know, but what I'm seeing is that what does Jordan did to manage time? How do you manage
time blocking?
Time?
I do time blocking. So it's just a simple spreadsheet. And if anyone wants it, I can give them a template. It's basically you're using your time like a puzzle. So the most important things get slots, and my client calls, my discovery calls, my client work, client response time, my content creation, all that has a cell or however many blocks on my time sheet. So then if something happens, like my kid has to be picked up from school early or something, I'm moving those pieces around like a puzzle. So the important things still get done. And then the other things are kind of like, I know that they'll get done another time because I have it time blocked on my calendar. So that it's not like when I sit down and I have a few extra minutes, I'm not like, what am I going to do right now? Like I have it blocked out. Like this is what I work on. Because most of us, not most of us, but a lot of us have these big projects we want to work on, but we don't have the big chunks of time to sit down and do it. So they never get done. So that usually looks like, 1 hour a week, I'm working on this. And that 4-hour block just might happen over 4 weeks. So does that answer your question? Like the time blocking and how I just kind of move things around. And I literally lay it out on a spreadsheet, what my week looks like. Like I know when I'm fully booked, it's going to look like this. And so I fit everything into those blocks. And then sometimes, stuff hits the fan and I have to move stuff around, but I know that like there will be a time to get it done. And I do a lot of mindset stuff because that was a huge thing during lockdown, was feeling very like I don't have time to do everything. And so one of my affirmations now is time always opens up for me. There's always enough time. So that is another piece of it. And it does, like, it's amazing. Like my mother-in-law will offer to pick up the girls or something, that just opens up time. And so being strategic and laying it out there, and also in my mind, just knowing it all works out. Does that help?
Absolutely. So I can keep going and going, but I don't want to.
Well,
everyone taking.
You know how time flies on the Daily Huddle, Gio. It's already 9:28, so it is now time to manage our time and give Jordan the respect of her time due. So, Jordan, tell me this: you have on your website, what you track increases, what you focus on expands, and what you're grateful for flourishes. Could you end today by telling us how that's showing up in your life?
In many ways, I'm all about, the power of positive thinking and affirmations. And so when we focus on the good and we see that everything is working for us, then we're picking up these little breadcrumbs along the way. When we see that like we're moving in the right direction, and instead of looking at things like, well, we'll see if this works or not. Of course, the dog's barking. Not, we'll see if this works or not. But we know that it's working, and we pick up those little pieces along the way. That's what I've seen. And being grateful is just what ties it all together. We start our day with grateful, tracking that. Penny, hush. Whatever this thing is, like, Penny, hush. Sorry, there's workers across the street. What is the thing where if you woke up tomorrow with what you were grateful for today, what would you have? And so coming from a place of just being grateful, I think is just, huge. Sorry.
Awesome. Jordan, the Daily Huddle needs more of you, and we're grateful that you were here. 9:30, we're ending, as we always do, with the 8 tenets of the Daily Huddle. Love life just the way it is. Laugh out loud. Everything that's not funny today is going to be funny 3 weeks from now. So you might as well laugh right now. Stress less. You know, nothing that happens for nothing. I don't know why it happens, but I'm claiming today that it always happens for your own good and the good of the collective. Eat mostly plant-based. Yes, you'll stay alive a lot longer to enjoy these laughs and to enjoy the ones you love. Give, sleep, and move your body. And last but not least, check yourself before you wreck yourself. This is your Daily Huddle for today. Join us tomorrow for health and wellness. Again, we start at 9 a.m. Eastern and end at 9:30 Eastern. Until then,